Now, I want to introduce you to somebody who literally changed my life. I met him on my birthday 9 years ago. I also met Sheryl Crow that night, but I think this man changed my life more than meeting her. So I want to introduce you to Matthew Zachary, the CEO and founder of Stupid Cancer.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling alright.
To say it takes a village to just use, I think, what's now a platitude, because we all know what that means. It takes an army to make this event happen. And Allie has been the cornerstone of this event since 2012. She was employee number 3. And Sheryl Crow, I may not ever stack up in certain talent aspects, but it was an honor to meet you, and may I be the best birthday present you ever had. But epic kudos to the Army, the team, the volunteers, the staff, the invisible people that you don't see behind the scenes that make all of this happen. It takes 18 months to make each one of these be all of this. So I'd like to ask you to round of applause for the army of people that make CancerCon possible. I also want to, so yesterday, I met a lot of you yesterday, and a disproportionate number of people came up and said, I found out about Stupid Cancer through Newsweek. And, you know, if you didn't know, my cover model days began last summer, but it was truly a seminal point for young adult cancer to be 80 million people receive this on digital and print around the world. And my colleague Tamika Felder on the lower left, where's Tamika? Is she here? Tamika Felder. We were able to work with the editorial team and about what the theme of Cancer Rebels was really about. And it is about making us the priority. Who went to Howl at the Moon last night? Who went to bowling? Who watched Netflix? One person. All right. You're going to find that the theme of this year's event is about choice. Freedom of choice, the liberty to know what your options are to make the best decisions that are the most important for you and no one else. And that is the single most important thing that I want you to take away from the next few days and when you carry home. We have the right to know what our choices are. So really quickly, if you don't know my story, I will give you the dollar store tour of it. But I have one specific part of that which is relevant to this theme for the weekend. So I began playing piano at the age of 11. And by college, I was a classically trained film composer. And I was off to grad school, supposedly, but a few months before I was going to graduate, my left hand stopped working, which is not good if you're a musician, especially a pianist. And I'm also a lefty, so I couldn't write, I couldn't type, and I couldn't play, obviously. So in the spirit of the hilarity of misdiagnoses, waiting, Robitussin for brain cancer. My band name. Anyway, this was me in college 20 years ago, literally this week. So the part of my story that matters to choice is how we need to be in the driver's seat about what's important to us and convey that with gumption to our care team. And the majority of people love their doctors. I loved many of my doctors, and I had many, and we've had many, many doctors. But I'm a concert pianist who lost the ability to play. I went through radical surgery, whole body radiation, like Fukushima, Chernobyl easy bake oven, radiation. One of those two would be a reference that someone would get. What's Chernobyl? I'm 21. So, sorry, millennials, sorry. But they wanted to give me an added round of chemotherapy. And I didn't even know what that word meant. I didn't know that chemotherapy meant multiple things. So my uncle, who was a geneticist, my dad and I asked him, these doctors want to give Matt all this stuff. And I said, well, what's in it? And we had to, like, pulling teeth to get them to tell us what's actually in this cocktail. And it was all the usual crap, the osfamides and the platins and whatever. But one of them was called vincristine, which a lot of nodding heads. And vincristine can cause permanent neuropathy in your fingers and toes. And as a musician, that's also not a good thing. So they were really adamant that I go on this therapy for a year. And I said to them, well, when am I going to die now? It's like May. And they said, well, we're giving you a 50% chance for 5 years. Like, that's fabulous, I'm 22. And I said, well, if you load me up with this junk, what does that magic 50% go up to? And they said excitedly, 55%. And I know they had my best interest at heart. But my uncle said, Matt, you don't want them in Christian because you'd rather die in 5 years playing piano if you can rehabilitate than die in 5 years and not trying to rehabilitate. And to have that said to me at 22 years old, looking back all those years ago, that was about choice. I had to make a life-altering choice at 22 years old. Do I want to risk dying in 5 years anyway, or do I want to try to live maybe more than 5 years? But piano was what was most important to me. So I like to think that you should never tell someone they can't do something. So I sum up what that means to me in 5 photos. When they told me I'd never graduate, play piano, have children, or be a part of a family. Never tell anyone they can't do something, especially my wife, who takes it for the team every day. And there's one man who is unable to attend this year for the first time in 11 years, and I will let him speak for himself.
My name is Lou Greenswag, AKA Mayor Lou of CancerCon. Unfortunately, this year I will not be able to be at CancerCon due to the wedding of my godson. I prefer to be known as Matthew Zachary's daddy. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the staff of Stupid Cancer, the volunteers at CancerCon, the vendors and sponsors who make this event possible, and everyone who lends their support, including the City of Denver, for this terrific event. Take advantage of this special opportunity and get busy living.
So I can't not show you the twins, who their birthday is next weekend. They'll be 8. And they specifically asked me to tell you a joke. You want to hear their joke? Good. I'll see myself out right after the joke. Where does money swim? In the currency. All right. Bye. So, 22 years ago, this month really sucked. But now, 22 years later, we hope things suck a little less. My only personal takeaway, and this is the nice way of saying it, don't take any shit from anyone. And there you have it. So I want to talk briefly about what we're in store for this weekend thematically and give you a quick history lesson about something we're really excited to talk about today and tomorrow during opening sessions. But first, I want to make you aware that we have 3 really exciting new versions of ourselves to offer our community that launched this year. We're not going to get into it now, but you are encouraged to learn more at our booth, talk to our staff, to our volunteers. They are all aware of our brand new meetup program to host social activities in your community, our summit program, where we work with local cancer centers on day conferences, and the brand new Stupid Cancer Show on YouTube after 406 shows in 11 years on SoundCloud. We are now on YouTube, finally. So literally 10 years ago, this was the young adult cancer landscape. Vacuous, white space. And to put that in perspective, 11 years later, all of these things are now fundamental aspects of care in this country. If you can't appreciate the fact that this exists in a more accelerated timeline than any other outcomes disparity group in oncology history. We made this possible, and that's a really big deal. So going back down memory lane, if you really want to look at how we tried to make a difference, years and years ago, my co-founder at Stupid Cancer, where's Kenny Kane? All right. Is he eating some Southwest stuff in Austin? Yeah. Instapeer was a grand idea that he and I came up with in 2013 to create a mobile app that was Match.com meets WhatsApp for teens with cancer who were so alone, couldn't come out to the meetups, or didn't feel age appropriate to join Stupid Cancer, and we wanted to offer them something of tremendous value. And over the life cycle of the product, we reached thousands of users in hundreds of cities across the world and had about 250,000 engagements in a very short time. It changed the way we think about how we can connect with each other on our mobile devices. This was the ad campaign, and as you can see, it was truly a grand experiment and showed us the way to do it even better. We showed this information because we didn't build it for like data, but it had all this data, who knew? And we showed it to my colleagues at the National Cancer Institute, and they could not comprehend how powerful this information was. It was the first, and I'm gonna get a little nerdy here, the first longitudinal behavioral data set of lifestyle, choice, age, cancer, and side effect. We did this by accident. It's like silly putty in NASA. So like, we need to work with you to make this a huge thing. There is no way to get this research to understand lifestyle and life cycle and quality of life and behavior unless we do this with you. But we can't work with nonprofits. But we can figure out a way to make this work together. So we work with the NCI, we work with our community. I want to quote a friend of mine who'll be talking tomorrow. The difficult we do right now, the impossible takes a little longer. I think I got that right, Dave. So what we did was a no-brainer. We just started the first healthcare company for young adult cancer. Just that. And you're going to learn all about it. The company's called Grit. If you've seen that word lingering around our social channels, Grit Health is the company for young adult cancer, the healthcare mobile company for young adult cancer. And what we did was re-engineered Instapeer from scratch. We started from scratch, we worked, we listened, we learned, we spent a very long time, and we took the best of all these platforms and tried to build something that we learned that we wanted. And for those of us old enough to remember the creepy AOL boards of the 90s, we took the worst of that away. So here's the video that we put together for you.
Listen, cancer sucks. Relationships can be one of its first casualties. It's hard to connect with someone who gets it without judgment or stigma. you are not alone. We'll prove it. Introducing the Stupid Cancer app. Whether you or someone you care about was diagnosed, the Stupid Cancer app will intuitively match you with others just like you, so you can chat with them whenever you're ready. And the Stupid Cancer app's live chat room is a safe space to see what others are talking about, ask questions, and openly discuss what is important to you. You shouldn't have to face cancer alone. Now you don't have to.
So this is the marketing, this is the interest. We built something for you, by you, and with you. We wanted to build something that we all felt we wished we had, so there is something now for someone that never has to ask that question again, or hope that they wished there was something out there. We are organizing, and you're going to learn more about this tomorrow. Of course, my colleague David Fuhrer, who spoke here a couple of years ago from the board of directors, is now CEO and co-founder of Grid Health. He'll be going over all of this extraordinary information and this revolution on your phones tomorrow. But we've been talking all about iOS and iOS and iOS, but you may have seen that we finally got an Android. And again, like they're exhibiting here. So you get to, their booth I think is next to our booth. Correct, yes, their booth is next to our booth. So you get to meet the team, meet the leaders. The entire company is young adult cancer. There are people affected by cancer, caregivers, researchers, advocates, patients, survivors. It is a company born of us. And with that, I'm very excited to introduce you to our next special guest. Not him.